like if you go on Amazon now and look at the reviews of my shop, it's always some fucking creep is like, well, I thought this would be hard set. I was like full penetration, and it's whatever. It's like, no, we never said that. We from the beginning we said it's a book about porn. It is not porn itself. Like
that was me. I'm sorry for leaving that comment. Just as like an FYI, what we do on the show is we talk about comic books and, all iterations, whether it's film, television, print, and also we smoke weed. So if you want to, feel free, no pressure. We'll probably be smoking.
I should have grabbed a beer. I don't have any weed. I always smoke it because THC makes me nervous, but I'll do some CBD gummies all goddamn day. So
nice. I actually just ate one before we started too. So awesome.
I should have went and grabbed some, but they just opened a store like right down the street from my house. So.
Oh, nice. Are you going to say where it's legal? I guess I'm assuming yes. Obviously.
Yes, I am in a state where it is completely legal. I'm in Illinois and Chicago, so they made it legal 2020, the beginning of 2020, then the pandemic, and then nobody got to enjoy weed really. So,
nice. Want to get started?
Yeah, I guess. Or if you do want to grab a beer, that would be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you want to grab a beer,
go ahead. Go for it. Yeah.
Nice.
Again, sorry guys, I am feeling a little sick, so if I'm not like super energetic, I do apologize.
Oh man, you're crushing it, Anthony. Even with COVID, you're doing great.
Oh god,
don't put that evil on him.
Yeah, don't put that on me, Rick.
Don't worry, dear listeners. Yeah. Anthony does not have COVID.
I'm vaccinated.
He's vaxxed and he's waxed.
I'm waxed.
And he's ready.
Waxed. Waxed, ready to go.
Yeah, ready to talk to Tim Seeley.
Yeah, ready to talk to Tim Seeley. Big things coming your way.
Woo woo.
I feel like that's your patented noise, Cody.
Did I like woos? Woo!
I like woos.
You're a woo girl, Cody.
I am a woo girl.
I mean, Revolution Sun Crusher.
Hell yeah!
Nice.
Nice.
Local beer.
Is that an IPA?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a citrus hopped IPA.
Nice. Are you an IPA? Do you like craft beers in general? What's your go-to?
Lately, I really like I think they're all local, but Maplewood Son of Juice, or my all-time favorite. I did the label for it was 348 Zombie Dust. Have you ever had that one? That's a good.
Nice.
Oh.
Zombie
beer.
Dust.
That sounds cool.
I'm thinking all my summer stuff because that's what I've been drinking lately. So
nice.
Yeah, I like a nice summer ale. A nice,
Are you from Chicago originally?
No, I grew up in Central Wisconsin, but I've been here for 20 years. I moved here when I was 24. So.
Oh snap! Nice.
Yeah. Now.
Nice.
Very cool. Yeah, we're in all different parts. I'm in LA.
I'm in the Bronx.
I'm in West Virginia. We all met doing comedy in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to move, Cody.
Dude, one day, I'm just waiting on my fucking kid to grow up. Jesus Christ.
He's taking forever. Dude, I'm telling you, you just need to give him a backpack full of supplies and food and to
send him on the way. Yeah.
And say, be on your way, son.
Yeah. Time to forge your own path.
Well, you know what? I think you just forged a path to the intro. That was good. I like that. All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Comics and Chronic. Today, of course, it's me, Anthony Iannaccio. We got Jake FH. We got Cody Walaka Cannon. We haven't done one of these in a while, so this is going to be fun. I mean, for us.
It's gonna be miserable for you, Tim.
Today we're joined by Tim Seeley. If you don't know who that is, then you suck because you have bad taste in comics. You're reading the wrong comics. Tim Seeley he's written, he's drawn, he's a writer / artist. His newest series, which we really want to talk about with him, is Money Shot from Vault Comics, which he co-wrote with Sarah Beatty and with art by Rebecca Isaacs. He's also writing a King Shark comic is coming out soon by Tim Seeley.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah, he's done Nightwing. You might know him best from the New York Times bestselling Hack and Slash. He's done a run on Green Lanterns, Batman Eternal, Suicide Squad, Shatterstar, Bloodshot. He's done so much. Man. That's why I say if you haven't heard of Tim Seeley, you're doing something wrong with your comic book reading. That's what I say. Yeah. So welcome, Tim. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Sorry we had little hiccups earlier, but we figured it out. So now
we got it.
My beer, but no chronic, but we'll make it
work. For sure. So right away, Money Shot. It's a new comic from Vault. Can you tell us a little about the process behind making that? We all read the first volume. We were huge fans of it.
Loved it.
Thank you.
Very different, very ballsy, no pun intended.
It's both kinds of ballsy because a major character in there has giant testicles.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's so essentially I guess the background on it being that I wanted to do a science fiction comedy. For a long time, I kind of felt like, there's not enough comedy comics. There's not enough funny comics. There's never enough funny comics anymore.
Hell yeah.
To sell very seriously. So, but the idea kind of came from something my wife said. We were watching an episode of Vice News and they were discussing something about science funding. And my wife said they should just make porn. And I was like, that's perfect. And then I thought about Star Trek and how Captain Kirk was just fucking aliens all the time. If they had filmed it, they could turn around and they could have funded all their Enterprise's missions. So that was basically the origin of Money Shot as a concept. And then started working on this idea. Originally, I was writing and drawing most of it. And then I realized pretty early on, like, I need someone else's voice on this because, I'm familiar with what I think is attractive sexually and what I think is interesting, but I didn't want it to be just that. So Sarah Beatty, who is an internet sensation comedian, she and I have been friends for like 11 years. We met via Twitter, basically, and then been talking this whole time. I kept asking her to do something with me, and she turned me down every time. I asked her to do a Hack Slash book. I asked her to do a book over at Dark Horse that I was working on. She turned me down every time, and then I emailed her this one. She said, "All right, fine, I'll do this one." And
nice.
We teamed up on it, and then we brought in Rebecca Isaacs, who's artist I'd worked on with on Hack Slash. I thought, the perfect person for this because she's really good at drawing like beautiful people, but she can do heart. She can do, it couldn't be just sexy. It had to be, funny, and it had to be charming. And so, we put it together, we pitched it around. Everyone turned us down. Everyone and said, you can't do it. They told us you can't do a comic about porn because Hollywood is they don't like the porn industry. They're ashamed of it. And so no one will buy this as a movie, so we can't publish it. That was basically what everybody told us.
Oh, wow.
Which was kind of shocking. And then,
so puritanical.
Yeah, we're very puritanical. And I think part of it's not puritanical, even it's money. I think Hollywood, that side of it is they don't like that the porn industry makes so much fucking money. And in some ways now is probably treats their talent better than Hollywood does in some cases, not in all cases, obviously.
Yeah.
So there was just that, I guess, I don't know. But we took it to Vault and they said, yeah, no, we love it. We'll do it. And they had no issues. They thought it would be great. They actually told us to push the sort of like, the open-minded sexuality of it, which is what Sarah and I have been talking about doing with it. They said push that even further. Nice. So, I think it came out exactly how we wanted it to be. I think, people are always surprised by it, either that they thought it was going to be dirtier or they thought it was going to be dumber. And, so it's just kind of a book, I think, that subverts some expectations. We're kind of the only ones doing what we're doing. So I'm very proud of it. We're on issue 12, comes out next week. So we've been out almost a year, more than a year, and we made it through the pandemic alive. So it's going pretty good.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
just as a brief for the listeners, Money Shot tells the story of a crew of pretty much astronauts, NASA
Scientists.
Yeah, of different specialties.
Yeah, different specialties, and they fund their space exploration by porn. They film each other having sex with themselves as well as with other alien species. And so, I just wanted to.
There you go. Yeah, that was a necessary plot summary. Yeah.
Yeah. OnlyFans in space. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah.
We were calling it like Fantastic Four with OnlyFans, or like that kind of. It's they're funding it's based on real things that was happening sort of during the Trump administration, which was science funding was way down. So there was this sort of like lack of just interest in helping these people do their jobs. So it was kind of inspired by real people I'd heard also, besides the Vice interview, people I know who work in this stuff just being like, it's so impossible. It's becoming more and more like commercial. Like you have to make something of value, not some that you can sell easily, not something that is valuable to humanity, which, space travel can go either way on that. Space travel will be extremely expensive. And you see now the only people interested in doing it are billionaires.
Yeah. That's
and their interest is largely so that they can sell our own shit back to us. They can sell the universe back to us is what they want to do. So it remains relevant, and now I have to do something with billionaires in space because they're all fucking going there.
So. One of my favorite things about Money Shot so far is just like it's very fantastical and sci-fi, but also like you can see all of the elements drawn from like real life society today, and it's just like a great fusion of the two.
I feel like you can't really do science fiction unless it's about now. Like almost all science fiction that I think works does come from some extrapolation of our current life. Frankenstein, the first science fiction story, is about what would happen if some of these ideas that they were working on at the time became, socially possible. And so it's always about that. It's always about that idea. So it has to be somewhat political. I mean, people always like that, but too fucking bad. And it has to be relevant. It has to be, honest. So I think we try to do that with every issue.
Yeah, like you said. Well, I mean, you said people find it surprising. Either they think it's going to be dirtier or dumber. And surprisingly, like I didn't realize how much heart this kind of comic would have,
Yeah.
And I mean, that's obviously that goes to you as the writer. Like you just make these characters and Sarah as well to make these characters feel so real. Like it's such, like Cody was saying, so fantastical, but these characters felt real. It felt like, okay, I could like talk to these people. They're not just like random science space adventure. Like they have feelings, they have lives that are really complicated.
And also a big thing we were pushing for, what we really want to make it was that I know a lot of people who either work in the official adult industry, and I know some people who work in sort of the side, the kind of like the OnlyFans sort of world. And what I think in talking to them, one of the things that I heard consistently, which I thought was so interesting, was that, professional porn stars are always like really good at keeping the emotion distant, and they sleep with people, but they're performers. They are this is their job, right?
Yeah.
And they kind of laugh about people to some degree who like are amateurs because they bring drama into it, right? Like all of a sudden, it's like you slept on a video with your wife, and then you're swingers and you did a thing with another couple, and now you're arguing about it. And there's all this like personal shit that gets wrapped up in sex that if you're not a professional, you may not know how to do that, which our scientists fuck up epically because they think this should be easy. But if, every one of us who is not a professional performer in the adult industry knows you sleep with people, there are emotional connections, there are, histories, things, all kinds of shit is dredged up. And that's what the story I think is about. They are not professional porn stars. They are scientists.
Yeah.
They think this was going to be easy, and it's not. It's full of complications.
It's cool because I feel like it's almost your comic helps or it doesn't help. Sorry. What am I trying to say? I think it paints the sex industry, like porn industry, in a pretty good light, just because up until like a few years ago, there's a lot of like little respect for the porn industry, especially as sex workers. And I feel like lately over the last couple of years, sex workers' rights has become like a big thing. And then
Yeah.
And also, and like going back to what you said, you wrote it during a time, during the Trump administration and whatnot. And also like during the pandemic, because so many teachers weren't working, a lot of them did actually, I remember reading articles, resort to OnlyFans.
Exactly. And many vids and stuff and that's crazy because then we would judge them. We would say, oh, we're not going to fucking pay you. But also you can't do that. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to pay you money, but we're going to shit on you if you find a way to make money.
Yeah, it's such
that you're comfortable with.
Again, I'm a big proponent of the sex work is real work and all that kind of things. I think it should be legal to do a lot of these things that aren't currently illegal. But it also makes things better for performers when it's legal because then it's regulated. The porn industry now is so regulated, right? Like in the way that is good for performers is it's heavily regulated and their health is a priority, right? Like, so, and people, what you're seeing a lot now, what we kind of talk about in the book is how much porn industry has changed because of things like amateur
science.
Yeah.
I mean, like, no, seriously, because of getting tested.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of like post AIDS pandemic or epidemic, like testing was a real thing, and it's now like a staple of the porn industry, like mainstream porn.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's actually probably safer to have sex with a porn star than it is with anything.
Oh, for sure, I would guarantee it.
But yeah, the just the idea that these things have changed for these people and gotten somewhat better because they're able to control their businesses. So a lot of these stars now they're not beheld to studios. They can have an OnlyFans. They can have their own sort of business, and it's completely changed to the degree of which the stars completely drive this now, and they're not sort of disposable. They've become real assets, I think, which is also another thing we kind of talked about in the story to some degree. Obviously, though, mostly it's about fucking aliens.
But like even like the way my mind is thinking about it now, it's like the story goes deeper than just fucking aliens because like the whole idea that porn could like fund space travel isn't as crazy as it sounds because so much technology just is shaped by like I remember when I was in college in like 2012 and like I was in like the film, I was a film major and like the head of the department, he's like talking to me like I'm just like one of his friends or whatever, and he's like explaining to me like why Blu-ray was beating out HD DVD, like it's because the porn industry decided to go with Blu-ray.
That's true. That's VHS beat out Beta because
VHS.
Yeah.
So and actually the original header of Money Shot was porn leads innovation, which is a quote I read somewhere. I can't remember where, but yeah, absolutely. Because our basest desires are always the things that drive every fucking thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
So,
Sorry, I don't know why I agreed like that.
Oh, it got you right down deep.
It's ironic about the Hollywood thing only because like I think one of Hollywood's best films is Boogie Nights, which is all about the porn industry.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that was like it's kind of an independent film at the time, and I think it's interesting. I think the division over probably the way they do things has probably grown in maybe the time since that happened, but yeah, I thought that was a weird reaction from every, and so many publishers now are sort of driven by, well, we want to make sure we sell the IP rights to this IP content creator, blah blah blah, a bunch of bullshit. That's really, they fucking don't understand you have to sell comics. So
yeah.
And so our goal was just sell comics, and we sold this to fucking Hollywood already, so they were wrong.
Nice.
But it comes down to just this sort of, there's this weird, there's a stink on anything involving porn, even though it, like you said, it drives these industries, and they won't admit it, and all these sort of studios would never admit that they're basically just selling people gun porn instead of actual porn. So
murder porn.
Right. They sell a bunch of murder porn. Like I'd much rather they sell us real porn than
but,
it's hypocrisy, and I'm sure you're not surprised to find that. So, that Vault took a chance on us and had it work. I mean, we're still one of their highest selling books of all time. So
nice.
Yeah, really great. It was the right choice. And it got Sarah and I a gig writing Superman and Lobo. So
nice.
I didn't know that. That's sick.
Yeah. That's our next book together is at DC. We're doing a Superman versus Lobo. And they said, do it like Money Shot. So, okay. We did.
That's crazy.
Oh shit.
So was
Nice.
did you like attempt to like sell Money Shot to DC or Marvel or pitch it to them at all? Or
Yeah, I pitched it to Vertigo.
Vertigo, nice.
Because at the time I had to. I was under exclusive at DC, so everything I came up with as far as like what I wanted to pitch around, I had to take to Vertigo first and create our own stuff. So I did pitch it to them, and to their credit, they were really cool about it. It actually got kind of farther along than it probably should have, but they really liked it. And then another book kind of got in trouble for a sexually related thing, and so they said we shouldn't do that. But DC was cool about it, and the editor on that, Jamie Rich, ended up being the editor on Superman versus Lobo, so it worked out pretty good.
Nice. Is that a series, like a mini series?
Yeah, it's a mini series. It'll be a 6-issue. Well, it'll be a 3-issue double-sized format. Black Label book from DC.
Nice. Oh, I love the Black Label
stuff. Is good.
Yeah, it'll be that. So
nice.
I feel like next time I read a Black Label comic, I should drink Johnny Walker Black Label. Just to like get you really, dive in.
So you have I saw you were working on a King Shark one-off. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, sure. So it's actually a series. It's
I'm sorry.
It's a half. I'm not exactly sure how the release is, but it's basically 12 chapters digitally or 6 issues, I guess, is how they're doing it. So it comes out. DC's kind of messed around formats, I guess, because this comes out right around when the Suicide Squad movie from James Gunn comes out. So it comes out sort of every week instead of monthly. So,
nice.
But it's called Suicide Squad King Shark. It's written by me. It's drawn by Scott Collins, who did a bunch of Flash stuff for DC back in the day. And it's basically, it's a crazy sad story. I can't believe they let me do it, but basically DC had seen the Suicide Squad movie and they're like, holy shit, King Shark is a standout. I have to do a series of him. So if you've seen the previews, King Shark is played by Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, which is wild.
And so they said, come up with something for this character because we think he's going to hit pretty big. So I pitched them this idea is basically like is that you find out that King Shark is sort of part of this giant like there's this animal sort of tournament.
Atlantis Society, right?
It's like a tournament, like a Mortal Kombat.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
And he's sort of a champion of the sea, and his job is to go and his whole life he's been training to be this fighter for this tournament. He gets to fight like Moose King and like Meerkat Master and like all these guys and King Roach and all this shit. And so he's supposed to go do this at the behest of his father, and but Amanda Waller doesn't want to let him go because she's one of her favorite killers. So she makes the character Defacer, who is a supervillain graffiti artist, go with him because she can't drag King Shark back, but she can blow up Defacer's head, and he likes her. So she gets stuck on this thing with this big fight, a crazy tournament to get among animal dudes. Of course, Waller sends the Suicide Squad after them, and it's a big, crazy, like Mortal Kombat with furries was my pitch.
That's incredible. Nice.
You guys saw that Netflix trailer for like that dating show?
Yeah.
What was it?
That Animal Instinct, or what is it called?
Yeah. Oh, what was it called?
Sexy Beasts?
Sexy Beasts. Yeah.
Good Lord.
That's amazing.
People sent that to me immediately because they're like, hey, either, hey, this is King Shark, or hey, this is Money Shot. And I said, our dolphin girl would have been way more fuckable because that is but yeah.
I kind of want to see Cody stumble onto that show super drunk.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dolphin girl, huh?
Yeah, I honestly, I didn't watch it. You sent me the trailer today at work, and I was just like, I've honestly forgot about it until now. But I'm gonna check.
I'm not
it
gonna
out
lie, I
as soon as
kind of
we
want to watch the show.
Yeah,
that's the line on it, is just make something so fucking horrible that you have to.
So
watch.
stupid that it like works.
Yeah, I mean, like we all fell for it. I mean, we all.
Yeah. That's cool. That's a great concept for King Shark.
Yeah,
like, I like the Mortal Kombat.
He'll be eating people, and DC sent me Suicide Squad so I could see it early. And
nice.
And everybody, they're right. Like everybody by the end of the summer, everybody's gonna have fucking King Shark T-shirts. So
I bet. It looks fun as fuck. I just saw the newest trailer yesterday. It looks like a really fun time.
Yeah, it's super James Gunny.
I bet it looks super James Gunny.
I've been watching his movies since Romeo and Juliet when I was in high school. Which
nice.
And then The Specialist, which he did, that's The Specials. That's it, the superhero movie he did. Like it's all that weird shit and awesome weird ideas he had back then with a fucking huge budget.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
This is so random, but have you seen the movie Psycho Goreman?
Oh yeah,
I love that movie.
It's a like a kind of a throwback, kind of a trauma, Toxic Avenger kind of universe kind of thing. Really colorful, really fun. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty charming movie.
What is this movie called?
PG Psycho Goreman.
Yeah,
Psycho Gore. I never heard of it.
It's like this alien monster dude like comes to Earth. He's gonna like fuck shit up, but this little girl kind of can control him with like this orb or whatever the fuck. But it's good. It's just it's so weird but hilarious. I like that kind of stuff. You guys are gonna. I don't know if you guys are gonna like it because I like it. I feel like we don't like the same movies.
It's super 80s. It's meant to be kind of like a fusion of like Steven Spielberg plus, it's like a little girl finds Hordak basically like in her yard kind of. So yeah, he's like an evil conqueror, but he likes this little kid. It's charming. It's by way of
That's awesome. Are you? Do you read any comics? Are you currently reading anything?
Absolutely. Not as much as I used to. Well, so during the pandemic, having nothing going on, I organized all my comics. It took me 14 months, and then I had to hire someone to come in after I was vaccinated to help me because I had so much shit. But I finally got that done, and then but I've been rereading my old stuff, a lot of it, which was great because I can't remember why I did this in the first place because sometimes you forget. And so just going back through and like I reread like all my Wildcats and all my Marvel Team Up and all my Blue Devil and just like goofy runs of shit that just like I loved as a kid and I forgot I had, and they spent 30 years in a basement, 35 years. So I've been reading mostly that kind of stuff, but I did pick up a bunch of new stuff a couple weeks ago. So I'm trying to think I read Department of Truth by my friend James Tynan. That was really good.
Amazing.
Nice. I bought it. I have yet to read it.
It's great.
You said it was great.
Yeah.
All the things James loves in one comic, which is pretty good to see. Let's see. My friend Mike just came out with a book called Barbaric, which I think everybody's going to love. Just fun sort of fantasy kind of shit.
Is it Vault also?
Also Vault, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it seems like Vault. I didn't even hear about them until starting to like research Money Shot and stuff like that, and it seems like they're putting out just like quality shit all the time.
Yeah, I would say they've figured something out, which is if you're going to be a comic book publisher, you should publish comics, and they do. They publish comics. They publish good comics, and they're sort of unafraid, and their standard is just kind of this quality thing, which is what drew me to them in the first place. To pitch Money Shot at them. Well, also because everybody else turned us down, but I'm doing Vampire the Masquerade comic with them as well. If you know that role playing game, I've been writing that for them, and I've got another book coming out with them too. They're cool guys. It's young dudes. It's two brothers who live in Montana. Fucking comics out of Missoula. I mean, it's a kind of crazy thing, but they have really good philosophy. They have a really good business sense. They noted don't aim at Hollywood, aim at the book market, which is a really smart thing to do. I mean, your chances of getting something made in Hollywood are fucking shit, but your chances of having a good book that sells in the book market is if it's good, it's pretty decent chance. So that's how they approach things, which I think is personally my way I think we should do things.
It works because Vault is like I would like when the way like I did, it's not like I knew about them. I would if I see a comic I like, I'll pick it up like, oh, that looks interesting. And like Money Shot was one of those, Finger Guns was one of those, and those are Vault comics. Like it's just like, oh, who does this? This is different. This is cool. This is, but like I didn't know that before I something about the books. They have like a gravity to them. I can't explain it, but like you said, like it's just a book that like you want to get.
Yeah, I think part of it is also like they've really managed to fill out their slate with people who just wanted to make this fucking comic. And maybe that's because it's a lot of stuff that maybe got turned down by publishers who are not as bold, I guess. I mean, so, like Money Shot did well for them, but we couldn't do that book anywhere else. So, of course, when we got the chance to do the book, we went fucking all in. So I think through a lot of their other stuff, they're putting out, they're recognizing some audiences that I think a lot of other publishers, even cool publishers, missed. So I think, they're eating the lunch of a lot of these publishers. They're selling books at numbers that, a lot of publishers have been around for a long time, wish they had. So.
Was there anything Vault said, like, you can't do this in Money Shot? Was it like anything that went too far?
Yeah, there was one thing. I mean, there's just like, not really too far, but like, sometimes they'll be like, hey, I think you should rethink this. This is coming across, sort of sexist or, like stuff like that. And that's fine. I'm always willing to hear. And that's partly why I'm so glad to have Sarah too, though she's more likely to make a sexist joke than I am actually. So. But I mean, that's what you have somebody for it, to give you a different perspective. And, we're always aiming to just make a good story. And, if we don't go the right direction, we want to know. So no, I mean, there was actually one scene that the artist on the third arc, Caroline, she drew this scene and she said, she sent it to us and we all went, oh my God. And then he said, oh, do you want me to change it? And they went, no, don't change it. But oh my God. Like,
yeah, it's, I don't know. It's such a great, ballsy, like, attack. Like, it's also like, somehow, like, it's incredibly sexy as a comic, but not as lewd as you would think. You know what I mean?
Well, we always said, and this, like if you go on Amazon now and look at the reviews of Money Shot, it's always some fucking creep is like, well, I thought this would be hard. I was like full penetration, and it's whatever. It's like, no, we never said that. From the beginning we said it's a book about porn. It is not porn itself. Like
that was me. I'm sorry for leaving that comment.
But like, it's weird to people that we have never said that. So whatever people sort of put on anything about sex instantly has to be like, spread brown eyes and fucking. I don't understand. That's fucking weird to me. How come you can't just? Yeah, it's weird. And so that's their fault. That's not mine. But that has been a thing that we deal with sometimes. It's just people not understanding like that. You can do a story about sex and not have the act of sex be the focus. That's a very weird American thing to not understand.
Yeah, like for me, what was initially like jarring, because when I was reading it, I was like, oh, sweet. Like I would get to, if I'm one of these characters, I get to have sex with all these women. And then it's like, oh no, you guys also have to have sex in the name of science. And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
and I liked how it was just like, it was cool. You made
very casual,
very casual, accepted,
very, like also like in an era where like every year it seems like the LGBTQ community is getting more like recognition and respect, and like the like kind of like being sexually open. It's like we're in like, I feel like a current sexual revolution, so it feels very current in that aspect as well.
That's true. I agree.
Well, so and this is the thing we kind of deal with in the book to some degree, is that no one ever says in the book ever, no one ever says heterosexual or gay or anything, because one of our sort of treaties on the story is that in the future there probably labels are going to have to go away. I agree. So like we never say it. Like characters have relationships with the same sex and other sex and aliens, but by design there's no like identity really associated with that, which actually is a big part of people who work in the adult industry as well, right? Like, and you're not surprised to hear this, almost every woman who is, a sex worker is, if they're not bisexual, they certainly portray that in their work. So, so we just kind of, instead of having to deal with identity stuff and have to deal with the politics of it, it's just not an issue. It's just, we just say in the future, that's not going to be a particular problem. It's just going to be whatever. That's
nice.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
And then when it comes to aliens, you can't even define that because they're aliens. So that makes sense too.
That was the big thing and this is why we had to do that, because we started to say like, okay, well, so in the first story, the sort of bad guy is this amorphous, it's a shape changing, it has no gender. It is, and so we couldn't have this thing where it's like, well, it would be gay for this character and this. It's like, no, that can't be part of this story. That's not part of anything we're doing here. So, it just made more sense to just say like, well, and they get it out of the way in the first issue pretty quickly. It's like, okay, we all sleep with each other. No, everybody. And so it's way more interesting to me to write about characters being interested in each other because of their personalities than because of their genders. I personally don't care. So, right. The first thing when we mash them together is not, we're both women or we're both men or I'm a man and you're a woman. That is not the first anything of their interaction. It's not about that at all.
Yeah, it's way more interesting how their personalities clash with each other or, work together really well.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's my thinking. I don't want to spend every story with like people trying to figure out what this means. Like it all means we're human. That's what it means. That's all.
Yeah, and I think that like you guys even say like that message is kind of like relayed again in the 4th issue when they're all like when they're having that speech about like what makes humans and all of that. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I thank you for picking up on that, because that's definitely supposed to be a thing. Because I do think, in the face of whatever is going to come in the future, I think these stupid things about like what you lay naked with will just not be part of the deal. It's just, who fucking cared? I don't care. Nobody should care. And it doesn't have any, and I just don't think, I was sort of in watching Star Trek was like, if they're so advanced beyond that, they don't even have like they don't have capitalism. Like they don't have that. They're like, cause they've moved beyond all that. Then they're not going to have like sort of sexualities. Like they're not going to have identifiable, that's not going to be important to them. If you're that advanced, you do not care.
Right.
Yeah.
That was kind of a thing I felt like we had to do.
Nice.
It's great. So in comics, I feel like when someone sees, you see Money Shot and you maybe as a comic book fan, your mind jumps, oh, this is going to be super dirty because I think like something to highlight that is like in regular comics, right? Like this week, or maybe it wasn't a comic thing. It's more of the Harley Quinn animated series, but
yeah, sure.
The big deal that Batman would even go down on Catwoman, like, oh no, heroes don't do that. Like, what's your take on that?
Well, I mean, I think the context is wrong in a lot of ways. The important part of this is someone at DC recognized that when you do something like Batman is a kid's character.
Of course, yeah.
He's a kid's character. That is important to always part of what Batman is. Yes, you can make a fucking Christopher Nolan movie that's super serial. You can do that, and it can be great. And you can make a fucking Frank Miller story, and it can be super serial, and it can be great. But at its heart, Batman sells toys. Batman sells lunchboxes. Batman sells comic books. Batman is a kid's character. So, for instance, when DC did that Black Label book where
Batman's dick.
Yeah, his dick came out.
Yeah, Batman damned.
To me, that's not a big deal. To you, that's not a big deal. So what, dick? Who cares? But half of this country or more had a fucking freak out because to them, showing a dick means it's as dirty as things can be, and this is not for children. And what happened was libraries across the country, school library, got calls from people who had seen on Fox News that Batman showed his dick, and they immediately said, my child took out a book from this library. Does it have a dick in it? Right? So the irresponsibility of showing Batman's dick is that you didn't understand what that means to the rest of the world. So look, that writer on Harley Quinn, I'm sure I love that cartoon. It's the best cartoon DC has ever made. But, why did you think anything else would happen? And way that people reacted was like, well, fucking Batman should get ahead. It's like, he's a kid's character. Stop about it.
Yeah.
If you want to see characters give each other head, buy Money Shot, you asshole. Like, it's just not a conversation. Look, I don't agree that there shouldn't be sex in comics. I don't agree that it's an issue, or but other people do, and so you're never going to beat. You're never going to beat a whole segment of the country that's extremely conservative about that stuff at their game. You're just going to lose.
That's true. That's a good point.
No, great points.
By the way, that was the best organic and non-douchey plug I've ever heard anyone do. that was a smooth plug right there. I liked it.
It's this weird thing in comics, like people want their favorite characters to be all things, right? Oh, well, I love Spider-Man, so Spider-Man should fuck. Well, look, Spider-Man should be about a superhero guy who has great power, and so he has to have great responsibility. And then maybe you should find your other shit somewhere else. Like maybe Spider-Man doesn't have to kill people or fuck people in the face or whatever. Like that. Like you should find things in other ways. If you're a kid, you want Spider-Man to be a kid's story. If you adult, well, then go find something else to read. Like there's a lot of comics. That's just I mean, and I feel that way on both sides of all these things. It's just, there's a lot of comics and there's a lot for every reader, and that's the important part. But don't force these things to grow up with you, because that's not.
And that's interesting too, as just from your own work, like where something like, Nightwing is not going to have the same vibe as Hack Slash.
No, it shouldn't. I just, that's the weird thing. Like if you want that vibe, then buy Hack Slash. Right. That would be nice. That would help me. I would appreciate that. But like this sort of demanding that things grow up with you is a weird modern sort of admission. And just a side sort of thing. I think Dark Knight Returns and Batman Year One are great pieces of comic book storytelling. But
of course,
as far as how revolutionary they are, is like, well, you made a kid's character adult. Good job. I mean, like it wasn't hard to do. That's not revolutionary. I mean, the storytelling in those things is really, really impressive. And those are the things about it that's really good. But like, it's not a hard thing to like put dicks and guns and Batman. It's fucking. I mean, whatever, child murder and shit. It's not hard to do that. It's easy, right? So it's harder to write kid stories.
Do you think because it's so mainstream and it is so tied to consumerism and toys, whatnot, that like. And I would say this for both Marvel and DC, have the two big ones like pigeonholed themselves into only being able to tell like a certain type of story? Like, is there a ceiling for comic book mainstreams like that? Like you can't touch upon things like sex that much?
No, I mean, there's not for comic books, because comic books are a medium, but for superheroes that are also lunchboxes, and there should be, right? Like you because of that very thing, like that. These things are the entry point for a medium for kids, right? So look, there's a ton of other kinds of comic books that are not superheroes, and specifically not big two superheroes, but created to sell comics to children. They were. And that's what they're best at, right? Like when it comes down to it, the most appealing thing of Spider-Man is that it's a kid's story. It's the thing that you read when you're like wishing you could be a teenager. You could go and do like that's what it is. Superman is wish fulfillment for kids that they wish they could do all these things, and they were from some other place, and that they weren't from the place they are. Like you change that, you risk ruining those characters forever. So like just make a different thing. Comics is a big medium. It's a big fucking medium. So if there's if you want a horror story with a guy like Batman, then we can do that. But just leave Batman. I mean, not that you can't have a horror story with Batman, but like a really gory one where Batman rips people's face off. Maybe that shouldn't be, right? Maybe you shouldn't make that, right? Like that's just a, there's a Arrested Development to some degree where it's like they just want all their characters to grow up with them. And like when that happens, I mean, Star Wars, right? I mean, you try to force Star Wars to grow up with you and then you just don't like it.
Right.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Well, I wanted to ask you about, so for Heroes Reborn, you did a one-shot Marvel double action. I really, really like that. It was just so different. Definitely my favorite one-shot of whatever was going on with Heroes Reborn. I liked it. I did like it. But that story is just like, can you talk about it a little? It's just so interesting to me.
Well, because the Heroes Reborn storyline was like essentially a sort of alternate universe. The really sort of high-minded pitch was like, what if Marvel had done DC, right? Because the Squadron Supreme characters were Marvel's riff on the DC characters, right? Hyperion is Superman, and Power Princess is Wonder Woman, and Nighthawk is Batman, etc. This goes back to the 70s, right? When those characters were created. So the idea that Jason had was, let's show that. Like, what if the Avengers are kicked out, and in their place are those sort of DC-esque characters? So it's kind of an alternate universe story. But what it allowed for is, like, there's the main story where the Squadron has replaced the Avengers, but the side things that could happen is because there's a history, right? Now this has been this way since the 40s. So they did like these sort of, world expanding stories. And so the Marvel Double Action was the sort of it's set in a fake 70s, right? That is as if Marvel was publishing those comics, Nighthawk comics, instead of Spider-Man. So it was like, it was done like a 70s Jerry Conway, Roy Thomas sort of Amazing Spider-Man comic, but with the character Nighthawk. And so I love that shit. I love doing things like retro and it had all the things that 70s Marvel comics had, like callbacks to other issues and ads on the bottom, and just the stuff that had thought balloons, all that kind of stuff that we don't do anymore. And so I wrote it, and it turned out pretty fun. And they were looking for artists, and I was like, Dan Jurgens, you got to get fucking Dan Jurgens. And Marvel went for it, which was great. And because Dan was in between a gig, and he loved Defenders when he was a kid, so we got to do this sort of 70s-esque superhero book, and it's self-contained. It's just one story, and it's kind of a love letter, I think, which I think makes it work pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it so much. I want to see that universe continue, specifically because I love what you did, how like the Nighthawk and the Spider-Man stories kind of intersect. It's like there's Captain Falcon with he's kind of the replacement for Gwen Stacy as like the Green Goblin, not sacrifice, but that classic moment. But I it's just like it worked on so many levels, because Nighthawk is also like the Batman analog, like you said. So it was just like, whoa, how is he doing this? It's just like, so it felt like you were juggling so many different like amalgams of characters.
Yeah, but it was funny because that was so easy for me, because when I was a kid, the comics that we had were, I grew up in the 80s, but we had reprints of 70s stuff. So like, the X-Men I read when I was growing up in 1987, 1988 were actually 70s fucking X-Men comics and early 80s X-Men comics. And same for Spider-Man, Marvel Team Up and Marvel Tales. Those were all like, so that shit is in my brain. Just I didn't have to do any research. I already knew how to do it. So, and it's useless because if you do that now, most people don't. Nobody wants to see retro style stuff, or it's of its era. But I had one moment where I got to use it, so it was fun.
Nice.
Yeah, highly recommend that.
The whole time I was reading Money Shot, I guess because I'm a sick man, I was expecting I've always just thought it'd be a funny parody to see like the Predator give somebody a blowjob.
Next issue is your issue then.
Oh, nice.
We actually do Predator and Aliens actually next issue.
Oh,
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Issue 12. 12. Yeah. So yes.
Nice.
Good. We're playing right predictions. Fell right into the trap.
I saw when I was like doing research about you and stuff that you're doing the penciling for Jennifer's Body.
I did, yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, it was a weird gig because I did a comic for it, which at the time Hack Slash was kind of being kicked around Hollywood, and at the time, and I don't know how far this went, but Megan Fox was like, everybody wanted her to be Cassie, and she had read the comic and stuff. And then I got a call like, hey, they asked for you to do this Jennifer's Body thing. I was like, who? I don't know who. I hope in my heart. I don't think it was. But yeah, so I drew it. It was a weird gig. It was so rushed, and it had to be out for the movie. And I learned a lot of lessons about working on licensed comics years before that. But like, this was a reminder, like it's a hard gig. But I could do a cool cover piece that I'm still pretty proud of. The comic itself was kind of harder to do, but I ended up loving that movie. I thought it was a great movie.
Same.
It should have been bigger. I think it's one of those that gained an audience afterwards,
Yeah, cult following.
It's a cult following for sure. So
I never saw this movie. I don't know what it is.
It's Dakota Diablo Cody. She wrote this like it's a I guess kind of a lesbian horror movie, kind of, with Megan Fox and
Amanda Seyfried.
And it's like a high school, kind of like a Mean Girl kind of thing, but it's really subversive and funny, like all the Diablo Cody stuff.
Yeah,
so I recommend it if you haven't seen it.
No, yeah, I haven't seen it. It reminds me of I grew up watching Heathers.
It's very
okay. It sounded Heathers. I like Heathers a lot,
but more sincere. Like Heathers is obviously kind of a piss take.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite horror movie director?
Carpenter, for sure.
Carpenter.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, The Thing is one of the best ever made, in my opinion. But like, it just doesn't stop there. But that's like one of my favorite movies.
And he also did my favorite. I don't know. It's not a horror movie, but it's just such a great movie. It's Big Trouble in Little China, which is like a really perfect movie. But he just made crazy shit, and I don't think he just did whatever he wanted, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't, but it was always interesting. So yeah, Carpenter.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I love The Thing. Are you a gamer by any chance?
No. I just never have time. We played we played RPGs when I was a kid. We played D&D and stuff and Shadowrun and shit. And then I bought a PS2. I played it. Nice. I bought the Spider-Man game and played it once. I was like, this is hard. Fuck it. And I since it sucks. I use it as a Blu-ray player now. I hate to say it. I'm just not a video game guy. I don't get it. It seems like by the time you get good at it, what's the point? Then you it's over. I don't understand.
No, I get it. I was gonna. Oh, sorry. No, because I was gonna bring up this game, Dead by Daylight. I don't know if you've heard of that. Yeah.
They they always have like a fan suggestion thing, and people always tag me in, but they think they should put Hackslash in there.
Yeah.
So
that'd be so cool.
We talked to them at one point because they had some kind of expansion, but must not have gone anywhere because they're not in the video game. So, but yeah, I heard it's cool and kind of a fun slasher kind of game that pretty open, like you can do a lot of stuff in it. So, but I've never played it. I like arcades. I go to arcades every once in a while, play old school video games.
Nice.
But I just never got into. I don't know. I'm a bad nerd that way.
No, I mean, I'm the same way. It's just time consuming, and I don't know. I played a lot when I was younger, and then I just kind of stopped.
Yeah, I think it's like for some people it's stress relief, and for me, it's just stressful. Like I get mad and I don't understand, and then I don't want to be like full old man mode and be like, but there's a bunch of different buttons. And I don't know. I can't.
I get that some of the games today, they're like almost too advanced to the point. Like
this is you being a gamer, which, that's I can't. If I couldn't get past Spider-Man, I couldn't get him to move. I just like, what is this? Why would I do this? I don't understand. Like I could learn a real skill. I could
build something.
Yeah, like the time Spider-Man fucking I learned to make him swing. I could like learn a musical instrument. I just so.
Yeah, that's why when it comes to video games, sometimes it's nice to resort just to like basic Super Mario, Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that's what I like about old arcade stuff, because they're designed for you to be able to pick it up on a quarter
immediately. Yeah,
right. And that and the challenge is mostly just like, oh, this is kind of fun and it kind of looks cool. Like that's good enough, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not worried about the fucking detail in the background and all the story stuff. Like, oh, I read a book, I just don't care.
So going back, looking into like a lot of your comic stuff, you like to go into like comedy just seems to be a big part. And you mentioned that like comedy, we need more comedy in comic books, which I totally agree with, but it's kind of surprising because it seems like, or at least on like Marvel's side, comedy and comic book storytelling goes like hand in hand.
In the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Why do you think they have such a hard time though, like getting it back into the comic books? Because I agree with you, it is something we need more of.
I think the reason is that comics were originally a medium mostly consumed by children, And those early comics were funny comics for children. And then in the 80s, there was this big push to be like, you know, be more adult and make comics for adults, which I think is necessary. It should be a medium that appeals to everyone, but they did it by making their superheroes adult instead of making something else. And, you know, trying to appeal to adults with, you know, fantasy or science fiction or whatever. And so now there's this sort of, if we make something funny, it's kid stuff. It means we're not taking this serious because the people who are adults reading superhero books don't like when you make fun of them. They don't like when they make fun of their characters. They take it very seriously, and part of it is because they're sort of ashamed that it's kid stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Like superheroes from the big two are basically kid stuff, and they should be. And it really bothers people if you don't take it seriously. So that's why I think. I mean, you know, because like going back and reading some of my old stuff, like, you know, those old. At the time in the 80s in DC, they were doing like Watchmen, but they also did Blue Devil. Like they were trying to diversify. And now every superhero book is basically the same amount of serious. It's the same amount of adult. It's the same amount, you know, it's for the exact same audience.
Yeah. And that's funny because, sorry.
No, you know, I just think other companies are doing that better.
Yeah. Well, that's cool because I don't know. Do you read The Goon by any chance? That's like my go-to.
Oh, yeah.
comedy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Eric Collin. Yeah, he's a genius. You know, again, not a guy that's done a lot of Marvel and DC stuff because he's funny and know how to
really funny.
Yeah, it's just a weird, like, shame thing. I guess we're shamed of funny stuff,
which is ironic, just because like the comic book medium, at least like for like my introduction to comic books, like as a kid, was honestly like Garfield, Dilbert, Calvin and Hobbes.
That's the other part of it, by the way. You're right. That's it too. Those comics are all. They're all punchline comics, right? They're 3-panel punchline, 4-panel punchline. So it's like Garfield did this, and then oh boy, and those are really simple comics. They're meant to be read quickly and on the shitter or in the bus or whatever. So, but a whole segment of the population says, "Oh, that's comics," and those of us doing super serious comics are like, "Oh, we can't be like fucking the Lockhorns or fucking." We have to avoid Marvin. We can't dare do something funny like Peanuts. And so you never get that stuff. We avoid it in a way to identify ourselves, you know, as far as we can. It's kind of it's a bummer. It's just another one of those, like, we change this stuff to make it more, you know, palatable to a wider audience, but then we forgot its roots.
I agree. And I feel like I grew up feeling that because I read comic books from a very young age, and like it wasn't cool to read them until like Bryan Singer's first X-Men movie or Blade, maybe, until like things like that started to pick up.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and even, I mean, like in the 80s, it was cool. Everybody was like, oh, I'd read Dark Knight Returns, and then that was the only comic they'd read. Like that was, you know, I would say around Batman movie, maybe 89, like you started getting this sort of stuff. Like, you know, Watchmen comes out in 87 and stuff. So like part of that is that era. And then, but I think the characters that are known to come from comics are such mass appeal now. So Marvel movies being the main thing, and the Marvel movies can do funny in a way that, I mean, I did a Ant-Man book and it was funny and everybody hated it, but the Ant-Man movie, people fucking love it. So.
Oh, nice. That's cool. I didn't know you did an Ant-Man book.
Yeah, nobody does.
Wait, it was Ant-Man and Wasp, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's funny, but that, you know, it's just a hard sell. I think, you know, the YA stuff, the kids stuff, that's all funny. Dogman, Smile by Raina Telgemeier, Guts, they're all funny. And those kids, they're going to be the ones buying comics next, and they're going to say, "Where's my fucking joke?"
Yeah.
So it's going to change, I think, in the immediate future.
It's weird. Like the way I got into comics as a kid was like in like 4th grade or whatever, our school had a book fair, and like you were allowed to just take 1 or 2 books for free. Like that's just the way it worked. And I grabbed a Simpsons comic and The Death of Superman. I was like, okay, these are the books I'm gonna read.
Dude, that was very me when I was a kid. I might, like, if I did well in school and stuff, we lived down the street, and like it was one of my fondest early memories. My dad, if I did really well, my dad would take me and let me pick 2 comics. And the ones I chose, I remember one week he was like, "This is insane," but I chose an Aliens comic and a Beavis and Butthead comic. And I was like 6 years old.
But I think I don't know why we can't do that. Like, you should have diverse tastes, right? Like, I don't always want the same thing. I'm basically a horror guy, but I don't just do horror, right? Like, I like science fiction, I like fantasy, I like comedy. It's weird that we as people, that we can't do that. Like, we should just grab. I think there's this thing we all define ourselves by what we like now, and it's like you're part of a tribe, and you can't dally with the other tribe, because then you're not, it's just that you see everywhere, right? That comes down to politics, and that comes down to everything.
Music,
yeah. It's just the super sort of tribalization, and I'm not a good tribe member, because I'll be like, well, I'm the funny tribe, but fuck it, I'm gonna go watch this fucking horror movie, so I don't give a shit. I'm just not good at playing sides that way.
Have you written horror before, or would you want to write horror comics?
Yeah, I mean, I've written a lot of horror comics. Revival, the horror comic.
Yeah, Revival.
The horror comic. I wrote a horror movie. This like a film that's coming out hopefully this winter.
Awesome!
I think I'm a horror guy first. I think that's what most people probably consider me.
Okay.
Especially Revival, probably in Hackslash being the main reason. But and horror is that's a pretty viable comic genre. I would say superheroes and horror are probably the two that consistently, work pretty well. So
yeah, I love horror comics.
Yes.
If you haven't read my Revival book, that's the one I think
I haven't.
That's one people actually like that I make. That's the one. Normal people like that.
Nice. Yeah, I'll pick that up. I only recently started getting into some horror comics. I'm more of a either superhero or like noir, like anything by Ed Brubaker or Sean Phillips. I'll read.
Revival it's called a rural noir, so it might be
nice.
but it's more of well, check it out, see what you think. It's a couple years old at this point. It's 48 issues, so
nice.
So do you have any plans? I think you said it before. I wasn't sure. Is there any like Money Shot, the movie or the series, anything like that possible?
Yes. Very nice.
Oh, really? Nice.
And again, who knows how I know not to count my chickens before they hatch anymore. So, hopefully, but I think we're doing pretty good. We got a lot of interest. We'll make that in the summer for sure.
Nice.
That's
sick. Very cool.
And what was don't you have any other TV things coming out in the near future?
Yeah, but I can't talk about them because
can't talk about them.
Yeah, it's the deal. But yeah, it's the pandemic made things weird. So like I had set up things and then they weren't announced because everything, we were pretty close to starting a Revival movie, and then pandemic happened, and what we needed, kind of dried up and went away. And so now that things are opening up more, but Hollywood has vastly changed. We'll see, because it'll kind of, the key is just to make cool comics, and if people want to do something with it. But now I've written a movie, so I know how to do that if I had to pull it off again.
Nice.
I need help. I co-wrote it with Mike Morisi, the guy that did Barbaric. But,
nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Do you have anything that you do want to promote, like specifically?
Yeah, just get Money Shot and King Shark and all that other shit, and I'd be happy. Just pre-order if you want it. But yeah, otherwise you can follow me on Twitter, or I'm at Hackin' Tim Seeley. I'm on Instagram at Tim Seeley. If you're in Chicago, we are started an art gallery, pop-up art gallery. So we're doing a show on July 17th. If you're in Chicago, it's at Irish American Heritage Center. You can follow us at the Seventh Corner. Is the name of our gallery, so you can check that out.
Nice.
And do you have like is there a passion project or like a strong desire that you'd want to do that trumps a Money Shot? Like, is there something you have that you've had inside you for like years?
No, I kind of got to do it. I was a huge He-Man fan as a kid, and I got to work on He-Man a bunch of times. So I got to work on most of the things like that I loved as a kid. So, Now I just have to make shit up because I did the now I just make shit up. Or you just like when fun stuff, like when they asked me about King Shark, like that's the perfect comic for me. That's every once in a while someone asks you and you're like, that's it. You just gave me the greatest thing. I didn't know I needed that, but I'm the right guy for that. So, you know, I'll just keep making shit up, I guess, or grab onto stuff that's weird, and I'll figure out a way to make it fun for myself, I guess.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely excited to read King Shark. Want to thank you again for coming on. Really
thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
Yeah, this has been a great time.
Yeah, sorry, it was a little bit messed up there in the beginning, but we figured it out. So
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, thank you, Tim Seeley, for coming on the show.
no problem. I gotta take care of my kids, so I'll leave you guys. Have a good one. Much appreciated. You guys have a good night.
Yeah, man. You too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Hi, you're listening to Comics and Chronic, and I'm Jake FH.
I'm Cody Cannon.
And I'm Anthony Iannaccio.
And you can tune in every Thursday to hear new episodes of Comics and Chronic.
And make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Comics and Chronic. That's Comics, the letter N, Chronic.
We'll see you guys next week.
Woo!
Peace.